when Rabbi Jason Miller, who's here as well today, when we were classmates in rabbinical school, we had a dean who asked an important question that determines who we are as a community. Imagine a scene of a Torah procession where a person carrying the Torah, where the person suddenly falls ill and falters with the Torah in his hands. You can determine the type of community you are by your response in that moment. Do we as a community turn our eyes away so that we don't see the Torah fall, so we're not obligated to then fast if we don't see the Torah hit the floor? Option 2. Do we reach out to try to grab the Torah to help everyone avoid the fast? But obviously, getting to be the closest person to the Torah, if you're not successful, certainly the one closest to the accident. So do you turn your eyes away? Do you reach out to grab the Torah? Or do you reach out to grab the person who was carrying the Torah? One of the things I learned early on about the B'nai Israel community is that there are enough people here with skin in the game to do both number 2 and number 3, to care about the Torah while caring about the people carrying the Torah. To bring a meal to someone who is sick or who has a new baby on your way to an adult education class. That's what it means. That's the mark of a truly special Jewish community. That is who you are. Imagine if the priests in ancient times saw the danger of their passion when that guy broke his leg, and if they stopped to carry him up the ramp, to do the sacred task together. That's how B'nai Israel would have fixed the priestly problem, by working together, everyone with skin in the game, everyone helping in the way that you can. I can't tell you the number of times I was stopped in my tracks by such chesed, by such kindness. I was stopped in my tracks at that display in the B'nai Israel West Bloomfield building, in the hallway going from the rabbi's office to the Beth HaYeled way. You can remember that hallway there that sort of connected the kitchen to the dining, to the social hall, to the yard site plaques, to the rabbi's office. It was all one loop, right? And there were those 5 framed pictures, right? I always stopped at the one with Stu Allen and the other founding members. The picture of those guys literally breaking ground and laying piping and electricity for the move from Pontiac to West Bloomfield. That is what I mean by skin in the game. Or the classic example of getting involved at B'nai Israel, making lunch. I don't know how you all convinced Deva to make tuna and egg salad with mayonnaise, which are, to say the least, not her favorite things. That is skin in the game. Or Rosie, slapping my hand when I took a non-sugar-free cookie or piece of kugel. Or Belmont, quietly rolling out a cart of 20 different cereals for minion breakfast, because so-and-so who comes on Tuesdays likes this flavor Cheerios, and so-and-so requested an alternate variety. That quiet constancy and care, that is skin in the game. I remember once wondering aloud about a detail of the Siddur, of the service, whether there's this 2-word phrase that's added to the Musaf service on a leap year up to the month of Adar, or maybe, I couldn't remember if it should go beyond the month of Adar, and then 2 days later, Fred Schuback comes to me with multiple sources and Siddurim and commentaries on the topic to help me investigate this topic. It's that attention to the detail of the ritual, that kind of caring, that is skin in the game. To Lenny and Steve Jacobson, without consulting with one another, each driving me past the Pike Street building in Pontiac, pointing out where they used to run around as kids. That is decades of skin in the game. I remember my 2nd year here, when there was this excited whisper, "The wolves are coming, the wolves are coming back." I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know I had to get a shotgun or something. There were wolves coming. I was new to Michigan. It's like the British are coming, the British are coming. I didn't know what it meant until that Simchat Torah, when we walked to the wolves and were greeted with people standing on their heads, made all the more significant by what they had to drink before they tried to stand on their heads. The joy of that family and every family as you bring joy to your Judaism here. And of course, If we're going to reminisce about skin in the game, we have to reminisce about a time of literal skin in the game, or perhaps in the cholent. The time on Simchat Torah when Rabbi Krakoff and I were making cholent for the congregation, I was teasing him that he had a wimpy knife taken from the drawer, and I said, Joey, that's not a knife, this is a knife. As I promptly sliced my finger, and then since we had a big program for Simchas Torah that night, I used an entire can of that circa 1947 first aid spray skin that was there. Didn't stop bleeding. I wrapped it in toilet paper, and we danced to the corner with Shir Shalom and Keter Torah. An early small model of what cooperation with synagogues of another denomination can achieve. Nothing like you're all doing here with Kol Ami. Later that night, Poppy, Dr. Lou Savarensky, came to stitch me up on the conference table of the rabbi's office. He had to kick Dava out of the office because he was convinced that he was going to have to treat her for passing out mid-stitch. That, friends, is skin in the game. Poppy, I love that scar on my finger. Don't worry, it's a very little scar, Poppy. You did a wonderful job. But I'll tell you, as I've told you before, that Sholem might not have been Parav. But on a scale of 1 to 9, it was phenomenal. There are so many other examples with each one of you, every single moment. I apologize, I can't name them all. But that's the type of commitment and love and caring. That's the skin in the game that each of you have. And that's what makes this place truly great. You know, there are 3 different kinds of synagogues based on the membership's relationship with that place. There's the synagogue I don't attend. There's the synagogue where I go. And then there is my shul. To have a lot of people, a disproportionately high number of people, feel that this is my shul, to have that level of personal ownership and investment from each one of you, I have to tell you, that is rare. For each of you to be able to say, this is my shul, this is the place I helped to build, this is the place I put my mark on it at its earliest, most critical stages of this chapter in its history, that is a profoundly fulfilling feeling that I pray that each of you holds dear in your hearts. In the connections that we have maintained and in those ties that this evening have been rekindled, in the ways that Dava and Aidan and I, and now Ezra, celebrate when we hear of your celebrations and successes. In all these ways, I feel like once we have made a connection like this, I never leave being your rabbi, being friends with you, being there for you when you need. In a way that's different from the Jacobson boys, who did it from childhood, but more in a way that, as your new rabbi 8 years ago this year, as a rookie, I feel very much like I grew up here. Like I learned, made mistakes, fixed them, had successes, and we had wonderful simchas, and we grew up together. But what you have done since, in these 2 years plus, it's humbling. It is awe-inspiring. And I am so happy to be here tonight to celebrate with you, to be just a small part of it, to see it. And so, Toda Rabba, thank you for including Dava and me in your simcha. Because of what you've done, because you have skin in the game at this early stage of this chapter of B'nai Israel's history, years from now, everyone here will be able to look back and say, I was here at the beginning. I was a part of this. And more, this shul was and is a part of me. You will be able to say, this is my shul. These people were there for me when I needed them most, when I had that really tough time in my life. They helped pick me up when I fell and felt broken. Or when I had that simcha that needed sweetening just by their very presence. These were the people that lifted me to even higher heights. Every time we invest an hour of volunteering or a decibel of singing together or an ounce of caring, that's what we get in return. This sense of it being ours, of belonging, of being a part of something that is much bigger and holier and more miraculous and inspiring than any one of us could ever be on our own. And so for all you have built and continue to build, Mazel Tov. I pray that we have many more opportunities together to celebrate these successes, to deepen our relationships even from afar, and to be a continuing part of one another's lives. Toda Rabah. Thank you so very much.